about do 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 about do do about do.
As I wander through this world, nothing can stop the bell. And you are my girl. No one can hurt you. No.
Morning, Bahamas. Hello, how are you? Welcome to Plain Truth Speaking. This is EarlThe in the house. ZSR 103.5 FM. It's a wonderful, beautiful Wednesday, February 10th. We're coming down to Valentine's Day. I'm looking into the face of the lovely Tanya Brown, my co-host. She is covered in ashes. She looks so holy this morning. You do look holy. You look sanctimonious. I mean, the ashes do something for you. Freddie, of course, has ashy elbows, ashy wrists, ashy ankles. He doesn't need to have ashes spread across his forehead.
Fair enough.
As Tanya sits there with the mark of our risen Lord across her forehead, she's going to lead us this morning in our inspirational message.
The scripture reading is taken from 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 14 and 15. Christ's love controls us. We are sure that one person died for everyone, and so everyone died. Christ died for everyone. He died so that those who live should not live for themselves anymore. They should live for Christ. He died for them and was raised again.
Amen and amen. And the whole church said amen.
Amen.
It is a wonderful morning, as I've said. Notwithstanding that we are now right in the middle of the depths of the holy season, that doesn't seem to have stilled the hearts and the fiery passions of our friends in the Free National Movement.
No.
The war continues to rage. The volcano continues to erupt. The earthquake continues to tremble across their path. Bill Brent Sumner, our beloved former Deputy Prime Minister, he is veiling the ass of Tennyson Wells for what he says playing the race card. It's always amazing to find the pot calling the kettle black, but these are things we'll deal with as the show progresses. Outside of that, there are two wonderful mugshots of Michael Folks and my cousin and friend Kenyatta Gibson sprawled across the front page of the National Guardian, and they are being touted as two persons to run on the F&M ticket. Wow, it's going to be a wonderful political season. It's going to be a wonderful political debate as the F&M continues to pull the race card out of their backside, and as the Lanisha rule argument and debate continues to stir the fire. The country debates with.
I didn't even know she was so relevant. What?
She is just not relevant anymore.
I know, right?
I had the opportunity to sit down with a group of FNMs, young FNMs yesterday, as I usually do, sit down with FNMs, PLP, DNA. And these group of young people, said to me yesterday, they said, Tennyson Wells, his statement really, to us, really means that, you know what, the FNM was founded on this Uncle Tom thing.
Uncle Chang.
Uncle Tom thing. And now in our FNMs, they feel that the FNMs still have that problem. So they're not sure if they want to vote for a party that is only prepared to propel the white people or the white interests of the Bahamas, to propel that interest forward. They're not sure if they want to vote for this party anymore. So I'm thinking in my head, like you guys just open a bag of worm that you guys should never open. That race card that was damaging to FNMs all over.
These are the historical perspectives that have to be taken in the fullest context. And as we opined yesterday, the FNM is in the midst of deep soul searching, 40 years into the game, 40 years after they were established. And the Tennyson Wells, who has a remarkable, marvelous history in his organization, for him to make the revelation and the declaration that the party is packed with Uncle Toms and the white faction needs to know their place. Let's go to 1977. The #1 movie television show in the world at that time was Alex Haley's Roots, which chronicled the arrival of a family from Africa in the United States of America. It was the most watched, it is still in the record books as one of the most watched television series of all time. ZNS TV 13 had just begun its broadcast, and the government of the Bahamas, in an effort to educate the citizenry as in its remarkable history, which we all tied to in the diaspora, bought the rights to Roots and aired Roots as a series on local television. And this very same FNM that we hear today talking about the Uncle Toms and the white element, they protested to high heaven. They called Pinland everything except a child of God for bringing Roots to local television. And now, 40 odd years later, we can almost understand why Uncle Toms, in their own definition, and white factions in the FNM, but have a serious difficulty with a majority of people being able to enjoy a television series that not only went on to win every possible major television award, but it's still hailed today as one of the great television masterpieces. But we're going to move away from that this morning because we're joined at the round table by two very wonderful young people, as we try to do in Plain Truth Speaking, to bring young people to the fore, for young people to inspire their generation to speak leadership, motivation, and inspiration to their peers as to what they do. And this morning, we have the pleasure of the company of Ashley Fraser, who is the marketing manager for GMI Health and Wellness. Say good morning, Ashley.
Good morning, Bahamas.
And we are joined by the industrious agriculturalist, Shomikan Cargill, who has distinguished himself as a Prime Minister's Cup Award winner in the National Youth Competition and has blazed the trail in agriculture in the country. Say good morning, Shomikan.
Good morning.
Welcome to our show. Two young people making their marks in two very different aspects of our country. Ashley is responsible for wellness and fitness training. She's into making sure we eat right, we look right, our bodies are properly conditioned. And Shomikan is involved in making sure that the products we put into our body, the natural food we eat, arrive at a standard that Ms. Fraser, in her discipline, are able to endorse and push us forward. We're going to talk to Shomikan first. And, the question to him is very, very simple, Amar. Why did you not choose a nice job with a necktie on at the front desk of Atlantis? Or
does he look like a necktie kind of guy?
I don't know the necktie kind of guy. Like, what does a necktie guy looks like?
Freddie is a necktie kind of guy.
I'm not a necktie kind of guy.
Freddie is a necktie kind of guy.
I'm a family guy kind of guy. I'm a guy who would go to the bar and drink a couple of beers. My mom didn't hear that.
Doesn't matter if you put on a necktie. Anybody can drink beers. But Freddie's a necktie kind of guy. Shomikan is I'll throw on some overalls today.
That's true, actually.
Maybe I'll take a shower. Maybe I'll just wipe off. Go outside.
Also true.
Screw it.
Yeah.
You people don't bathe in a full tub of water. But what's going on here? I heard BC was load shed. I didn't hear water and sewage was cutting back. But in your business, you are surrounded by water all day because irrigation is key to what you do in many aspects. How did you get involved in agriculture at such a young age, and what keeps you grounded to it?
growing up, my parents always grew food in the yard. You know, bananas, hog bananas, sugar bananas, things like that in the yard. And, you know, that's always been in my environment. I did agriculture as my option when I went to H.O. Nash. So it just kind of came second nature. And I didn't actually plan to go in agriculture. It kind of stumbled into it when I went to COB. So my cohort that when I did Small Island Sustainability, that's a program they have there. They just started it the year I enrolled in COP. And only a few options were ready because they have different cohorts like marine, science, non-policy, ecotourism, and one is sustainable agriculture. And that one was ready at the time. So I entered that program and ended up becoming what I do today.
I've heard a lot in recent times about this agricultural program at H.O. Nash Junior High School. You passed through that. Tell us something about that, please.
Yeah, well, Mr. Aziz, that was great. Everyone who was in that program enjoyed it to the fullest. You know, there's animals there, and it was set away from the school, so it's like you had to walk, you know, down, be in the back of the field, and it's like you're in a whole different world. And you know, a lot of kids growing up, we don't really have that interaction with the outdoors. So it was like an escape. It was like a fantasy land back there. It was really, 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 really interesting. And at that age, we had to raise chickens and then kill them ourselves.
What?
And yeah, you know, so it's like we in junior high school.
Manslaughter.
Yeah, we killing
Practicing murderer.
So you had your own bamboo shack going in the back.
Yeah, and we would sell the chickens.
Not Santiera.
We would sell the chickens to teachers and things like that. So it's kind of
The
introduction.
teachers were buying the chickens?
Yeah, at the
Were these
agribusiness.
tested and approved?
Yeah, man, definitely.
Okay. Because I was going to say, don't you take these things to the abattoir?
No, you don't have to take chickens to slaughterhouse.
Okay.
What happens if you leave a rooster and a duck in a pen?
The duck will rape the rooster.
And what's the offspring called?
Oh, I don't know.
Rooster. Rooster. Rooster.
Freddie, we really couldn't say. What? And after your COB program, you ventured into being a consultant on your own. Tell us, how does that work? What do you do for local farmers?
I guess in order to explain how I ended up in the field is because that typically, you know, the major issue in agriculture is the things you need most, you know, forefront is you need money, you need land. And graduating college, you don't have no money, you ain't got no land. You know, and even if you were granted land, you know, from the government, which it takes a while, you don't really have the resources to develop that land properly. And oftentimes it's not on New Providence. So it's going to be on a family island. So and it's even that much more difficult to access this land. So without these things, you have to try and get kind of creative. So instead you provide like a service. So you're trained in the field. You know, a lot of farmers, they have a lot of experience over the years, but there are simple things that, you know, that could make their life a little more efficient that you can go in there and help them with. And then also what I target most is the people who interested in agriculture, like, you know, people who have gardens in their yard or who don't necessarily call themselves farmers, but maybe interested in agriculture. Mm-hmm. So we kind of assist them in their food production. Or they may, let's say a property owner, you may have, you know, acquired some land or you have a house on it and you have some nice avocado trees and things like that. We help them, show them that there's value addition, there's worth to your products on this farm, you know, so now you just had a bunch of avocado trees in your yard. We'll come in there and we'll harvest them and we'll make recommendations of how you should treat your trees, and then we could take those avocados to market for you and sell them and then give you a profit. And so now you see in value.
It's always amazing during the regular seasons of the traditional crop in the Bahamas. We know it's mango season. Everybody on the side of the road is selling the hairy mango. Mm-hmm. Everybody is selling the avocado. Every
I
neighbor.
thought they only sold hairy mangoes on Dazzle Street. You're trying to tell me now that I could find a hairy mango on the side of the road?
There's a hairy mango on every street corner during mango season.
Wow. And mangoes have seasons now.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm learning so many new things today.
Tell her about mango season. Not mango season.
I mean,
mango
listen,
season.
we got mango season to my right and left, so I don't know.
You know, often people feel as if that because it is your field, you know everything in your field, and so I'm gonna kind of concede and ask her about these hairy mangoes that are on Dalswell Street. I'm not really familiar with those.
Well, you've never grown those?
No, I don't know anything about that.
I think those are the hidden mangoes. They imported from another country.
I can't. But
Actually, it is wonderful. It is.
I have a question for. I have a question for you in terms of cost, because if you go into the whole food supermarket there on Caves Village and the one further out west, to purchase organic fruits and vegetables in the Bahamas is like extremely costly. What are you doing to bring down the prices of these expensive bananas and expensive, avocados that we have to purchase in the food store? Avocado is for $3.25.
The question is, what you mean organic? Because there's so many different things with organic labeling out there, and there's so
it's
many
not
different.
organic?
There's different. Organic is just a word. Organic. What does that mean? Does that mean growing naturally? Does it mean it's certified by a particular body? There's multiple bodies that certify organically. I don't think there's any organic certification body in the Bahamas. So anything else, you'd have to be foreign certified to say that you're growing organically. But in general, you have this there's a perception that, okay, once it has organic label, it's automatically healthy.
Yeah, and it's fresh.
It's not necessarily non-GMO. I don't know, the different standards in there, and it's fresh. But I mean, if you're getting organic food from way across the way, then what's the point? If you want to talk about reduction of cost, then you're just looking at producing food locally. And locally doesn't mean necessarily on a family island. Locally could mean inside your yard, inside the communities. And that's what my actual focus is, in community agriculture. So that's kind of my focus, in the sense that my battle in dealing with like food security in the Bahamas is not just saying, okay, well, we could produce large farms worth of food, but trying to get farms, kind of get like food in the community itself.
I have this eagerness to bring Ashley into the conversation, but the thing that jumps out at me in the last thing you said, Shomagan, in terms of the home farming, is what do you do when you go into someone's yard and they want to do this home farming, and the whole farm is on the perimeter of their cesspit? I've had wonderful tomatoes and guavas, hog bananas, and other treats, well, not too far from cesspits in various yards. But I'm told that while that may be a wonderful fertile supply, it raises very, very, very many other concerns. But you're an agriculturist, and tell us, do you say, no, you should grow beans on the cesspit, grow cassava 2 feet from the cesspit? What do you do?
No, I always heard growing up that that's the sweetest fruit come by, the ones you plant by the nanny hole, but I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean...
Is that safe with IRCA approved?
As long as...
it's Shomagan agricultural approved.
As long as you ain't putting like raw processed, like sewage and feces on plants directly that you're going to be eating, you shouldn't be, having too many problems. We don't really make any specific recommendations to plant near sewers at all, or septic tanks. But so typically majority of the gardens we do at home, we use raised beds. So we base a lot, as you know, that
raised beds. What's a raised bed?
Basically, what happens is that a lot of people don't have a lot of soil in their yard. So if in a lot of housing developments or something, it's basically fill. So, and even if it was just natural ground and you're hitting limestone rock, except that's why we end up doing pothole farming back in the day, little deposits of debris and stuff, trying to get a bit of soil. Instead, what we do is we go up. We could use a structure out of, wooden, you could use cinder blocks, you could use natural rocks, whatever it is, to get, build up another 8 inches, 6 inches of a barrier. And then we bring in soil. Then we build, that's what we consider, it's called a raised bed. So it doesn't really affect, we don't plan on septic.
We're in the midst of wonderful technology in agro-science in the Bahamas, and it's very wonderful to see a person of Shomagan's age. He's well under 30, well on his way to making his mark. And we're joined this morning at the round table as well with the lovely Ashley Fraser. We off air, we had a discussion as to how she arrives at this name, Ashley. We're going to have a continuous row on this. off radio again because I tell her Ashley is a male name. It's been a male name from Ashley, the protagonist or antagonist in Gone with the Wind. She's demanding that I'm wrong. I'm right off my target. It's a woman's name.
Yes,
But so we're going to constantly row about this. Tell me, Ashley. We had some people in last week, and we're talking national health insurance. We're talking about health and fitness, and the general consensus has been that we are a reactionary health people. We know how to find the doctor when we discover the ailment. What you people do in health and wellness is to get the body in condition to avoid and limit the disaster. How is that working? Is that catching on in our culture? Are people only into health and wellness because they want to get the girl or get the boy, so they want to get in the gym and build the abs, so they want to brag about what they're eating out of the gym? What do you see?
Well, I think now what's coming on board is this whole trend of health, wellness, and fitness. And I would say that it's actually a combination of both. I think statistics and numbers nowadays are really striking persons, and they are doing it more so to get healthy, to get well in body, mind, and spirit. And that's what we're focused on at GEMI Health and Wellness. And I think that with that international study that was conducted, and the Bahamas being ranked number 6 in the world, this small country, small but great country, in obesity, number 6 in the world in obesity, having the highest amounts of obesity among its population. Big asses
and pop bellies.
I don't know what she's trying to say about having a collect and eating some peas and rice, macaroni, potato salad, fried chicken, piece of lobster, and some fish.
I'm definitely going to touch on that.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to touch on that. But I think that with all of these statistics and with the trend catching on, I think that now people are really getting into this movement. I call it a movement of being healthy, of being well. To touch on the macaroni and the potato salad, all of that as well, but it's all about portion size. It's all about eating in moderation. Oh my God, I'm getting these looks, left, right, and center.
Wait a minute. Put a peg in that. I go to the little place I go for my food. I pay him $12 for this, and you tell me to give my food in portion? Oh, come. You want me to him in right? I want when I go for half a chicken, I expect the wing. I expect to see the tip of the wing and the little hanging knob of the chicken bungie on my plate. Half a chicken is half the chicken.
Okay. What are you gonna say 10, 15, 20 years down the line when you develop diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol?
Pardon me.
It's way too late for him now.
Pardon me, 10, 15 years. We beyond that.
No, but it's a very serious problem, and we have to look at it on a serious note. If we want the Bahamas to come off of that ranking, we have to do something, and it starts from a very, very early age. We have to get the youth involved. We have to let our youth know that, okay, everything is not about the fast food. It starts from the home. It starts from the parents. Kids don't buy their own food. So, introducing kids to things that are cooked at home is very, very important. And
what if my mommy can't cook?
Well, I'm sure someone in the family can. If mommy can't cook, I'm sure there's a dad and aunt. But you have to teach the kids from a very young age these principles.
You're not talking about your mother's skill as a cook. You're talking about her inability because of other.
A little bit of both.
I'm not.
Of attention she may have.
I made a general statement. I was not talking about my mom. I'm not talking about you. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you have a happy Mother's Day.
I feel like you're trying to get me put out tonight.
Yeah.
Ashley and Shomikan, to both of you, would you support a drive to ban the importation of rice into the Bahamas for a few years?
Rice. Why?
Because everybody's on this rice and macaroni and peas and this and the next thing. So I want to know, but do you think the problem with the diet is that we eat too much rice?
I don't.
We have a crawfish season. You can't catch Nassau grouper season. Is rice the problem? Should we say no more rice coming into Nassau, coming to the Bahamas for the next 2 years?
I don't.
And then we'd see if rice is going to cause a reduction in bungi size, a reduction in triple bellies. Tanya's already got her face made up as if she can't wait to have peas and rice and crab and rice and lamb and rice tonight.
I worked very hard to get some booty. Okay, so don't try to take away some rice just because you were wrong with booty. Some of us struggled through high school and college with trying to get a little piece of booty, because the guys like show they need something to grab on when it get 52 degrees at night.
Show. How do you feel about the rice thing?
I don't know. The thing is with rice is that there are different types of rice. My sister, my mom, them, they try and cook the brown rice with the hull still on and things like that. So you don't have to eat the processed rice but then we have to look at society as a whole. What people dealing, why people eating certain things. Rice is cheap, relatively cheap, and it's filling. So it's like if people have a set budget and they have a big family to feed, then these cheap filling foods is something that they fall back on. So the issue of health and wellness is not just like, more people need to go to the gym, or, more people need to grow organic food in their yard and stuff like that. It's a whole, like, I guess it's a whole system. It's all interconnected.
And with all this complication, all this variety of purpose, if you had to start just one place in really making the revolution that you're trying to achieve, where would you start?
I guess. I'm never been the kind of person to say, I want it from the government. But because I don't feel as if it's their job to kind of tell us what to do in our lives. But if they're leading us, I think I would love, the government to say, or someone in charge, leaders. I won't say the government in particular. Say, what? We're tired of Bahamian people eating food that's killing them and living sad lives. And we're tired of that, and I want us to live, more. I want the children of tomorrow not to be dying of cancer by the time they're 40, 45, So we could be growing our own stuff. We could be putting our money in the economy. We don't have to be supporting these companies with dumping these cheap foods on it, because you should get mad. If someone's giving you food, they know it's not going to be, for your best interest. It's like that person don't have your best interest in mind. So there's something that's angering. So I'm mad at you for doing that to me. I'm mad at the people who allowed it to happen. And then you got to say, what? I want to help the people who've been trying to, support, trying to do good for the community. So you've been trying to grow cassavas and yams. And if we need starch, they say, fine, you need starch in a diet. There's other ways to get starch. There's other healthier options. Look into those things. Make those things a push. So all this time we're doing a lot of talking, and if it doesn't make any sense, talking about your house need to paint if your house on fire. So like all the other issues inside the life, if the people dying in your country, then it's difficult for me to really hear anything you have to say after that. If I know that there are certain issues that you ain't really addressing, or there's pressing issues that you ain't dealing with. So.
I didn't get the analogy of the
house.
The paint house on fire.
The house on fire.
Wouldn't you want to out the fire and then start to paint it?
Right.
With the
so
burn-up
what
house.
I feel is that we kind of focus on a lot of issues.
Isn't that what we do in the Bahamas?
I don't
patch up things.
I don't patch up my house.
Well,
I believe in
go
maintenance.
a little bit closer beyond the house.
Okay. I don't patch up anything else either. Actually, I have a question for you.
Sure.
We just got out of Christmas season. It's February. The summer is approaching so quickly. This is the Bahamas. We are known to have hotties, right? Males and females. Tell me, from November to now, how much has the membership of your gym increased? And is this a seasonal kind of thing?
Well, definitely January is okay. Christmas time is over. The ham, the turkey, all of the macaroni, peas and rice, potato salad, all of that has settled in. And persons are looking toward those summer bodies, both males and females. This is peak time, I think, for all gyms, all wellness centers. And yes, the gym is booming now. The gym is booming now. I'm going to see Frederick, yes, very soon. He is a member of GEMI, so I'm looking forward to seeing him back very soon. But yes, it is a very, very busy time now for us. But we want to keep that momentum going. We don't just want it to be seasonal. And that's what we strive to do. We want persons to take this into the whole year and not fall off by March.
Well, I have one more question for you about Jemai. I've had the opportunity of going to other gyms, and I'm not going to call any names.
Jim Ferguson, Jim Brown, Jim Rollins.
Yeah, Jim Carrey and all. But I've had the opportunity of going to other gyms, and I noticed that it is more of a social scene instead of a place where, you can actually, I'm going to say this, seek a refuge for your tired body. And, I also know that your Caves location has a sauna. Mm-hmm. So what can a person like me that is looking for a gym that is gym jumping expect if I were to show up to Jemai tomorrow and I don't want a social experience, I actually want to get healthy?
Ashley, before you answer that, do not be intimidated by the cross of ashes on her forehead. You must give her frank and full answers to her question.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I surely will. First of all, I just want to say that GEMI is not a gym. We're a health, wellness, and fitness center. So fitness, the gym side, is just one aspect of us. We focus there on mind, body, spirit. And we focus on the whole person. So we take a holistic approach to wellness. Okay, and I think that's what the problem is today, is that we focus too much on just one aspect and not focus on all aspects. First, you have to think about the mind, all right? And of course, in order for you to want to make that change, to be well, you have to think of it in your mind. You have to think, okay, self-love, self-responsibility. You have to think, okay, I want to make this change. I want to join this movement, not because of the social look on it, but because of the personal look. So in saying that, when you come to GEMI, we offer you the full package. So you discussed our Caves Village location, that is our head office. And when you come to GEMI, first of all, we have all aspects of health and wellness for you, from behavioral therapists, we have health and wellness coaches, we have registered nurses on staff, exercise physiologists, personal trainers, group fitness instructors. We are the full.
Don't forget your tasty menu for lunch.
Full, yep. I'm not even there yet. We're the full.
I want to ask. All of this included in the gym package, or?
Right, so I'm getting to that. So yeah, we offer all of those things at GEMI, but with your membership does come access to both of our East and West locations. We have an East location in the Seagrape Shopping Plaza, Prince Charles, and then of course our head office, which is Caves Village. When you sign up with us, we give you a health assessment. So we check all of your numbers. We check your blood pressure.
She checking all your... Yeah. You better try hide them numbers for today. Earl.
We check your blood pressure. We check your cholesterol. We check your weight, your height. So before you even begin your workout sessions with us...
What about your breath?
Well...
You don't check people's breath?
No, we don't.
I'm told that breath denotes certain illnesses.
That is true. That is true. We don't have a breath test.
Tanya just put 3 sticks of chewing gum in her mouth at one time. Tanya, I was passing another station on you. Oh boy, people are so sensitive.
But yeah, we do we do those things because I think the problem again there is people are working out and they don't know what they're working with. So we have registered nurses on staff to help you out with that and to get those numbers to where they should be. And then of course the sauna. Okay, a lot of people don't know, but a sauna has many great health benefits to it. Good for detoxification of the skin. It's good for blood circulation.
Who has sex in a sauna?
Clearly, you don't
disgusting.
get none on a regular.
Well, definitely none of that goes on at Gemini.
Yeah, thank you for that.
None of that. Let me just put that out there and clear the air with that. If any thoughts were risen from that. But yeah, so, and of course, we have our smoothie bar. We serve fresh smoothies daily, and we also have a deli. We serve fresh sandwiches, salads, wraps. So the full nine. You come to Gemi, and like I said, we're not a gym. So when you come there, you feel more like you're at a spa. That's the type of ambiance that we set off. And like I said, we're the full package. So
Do you guys have vegan options?
we do have vegan options.
I've always been embarrassed to join a gym because I don't have very pleasant smelling feet. And I'm always conscious that if I take my shoes off, even if I coat them in benzene, soak them in Obzone Junior number 4, at some stage, the odor is going to come up. And so I'm just very sensitive about going to a gym with that problem. What would you recommend for me? And no, I'm not cutting them off.
Have you ever tried soaking them in Epsom salt?
I've tried Clorox bleach.
Oh wow, you've gone to the extreme.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. I think you would have to
skin on those
seek a medical doctor
What
for
about
that. I can't offer a cure for that. Not a permanent cure.
Davis lost a very good customer. Shumakan, there are any number of crops that we can eat that are indigenous to Nassau, which Bahamians don't seem to appreciate or want to be involved in. People want to go into a seedling store and they want to pick up invasive crops, seeds, and plant in their yard. Give some advice to people who want to do this farming in their yard as what is easily cultivatable, what is easily harvestable, and which makes a fantastic addition to their diet.
I mean, I wouldn't really call the plants invasive, you know.
I am not the agriculturist there.
They form the staple of many people's diets. But I'm not gonna take away from the importance of the cabbages and tomatoes and things like that, you know. But what I would recommend is kind of forming more of a kind of permaculture relationship with your yard. Basically saying that you have, you know, permanent trees. So instead of planting those ornamentals that take up a large portion of your yard, or maybe a big lawn or things like that, I would encourage you to plant, you know, stuff like jujus and other, at least medicinal plants in your yard as well. That's something that we tend to overlook inside. Even when we do garden, people who clients I have who do gardens, they kind of overlook the medicinal plants. You know, been a big thing with moringa, and you know, things come seasonally. Like noni was a big thing for a while, and so you know, those are things they kind of push for.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't plant my bougainvillea around my yard and some sunflowers and everything else. I shouldn't win Best Yard in Coral Harbor. I should put a big juju tree to mess up my beautiful yard.
There's a lot of fruit trees that are beautiful, and then beautiful is perspective.
Yeah.
You know, what I think what is functional and practical is beautiful.
Last question for you, Show. For those people that have fruit trees and we would like something to catch them instead of them making a mess all over the place, is there anything that you could recommend for us?
Freddie.
You could tie
Oh,
a sheet.
jeez.
You could tie
Just
a sheet.
leave Freddie tie under the tree and as the almonds drop.
Tie a sheet?
Yeah, I've seen people do that. Tie a
Under
sheet,
the tree.
plastic sheet and tarps, anything.
What
like
if
that.
my yard ain't fenced in? I just want people to look at my sheet tie up under my tree.
I think it goes
It's a
back
net.
to
It's a net.
it goes back to perspective. You know, people feel yards are beautiful, but I mean not yards, lawns. A big sea of grass that does nothing for you, that you spend money to take care of, that's not helping you in any way, shape, or form. So it's all about us changing how we look at the world.
Sure. Let me tax you on your Andrews roots, and you know we eat a lot of crab.
Oh God.
And there's every station on every street corner in Nassau where there's someone selling crab. And then I run into these. What do you say about farmers selling crab? Don't cause farmers to start crying early, recognizing that they can anticipate and expect their crab rice. But anyway,
Yes, sir.
I've come across people who say they go to the crab seller the little bin on the side of the road. They buy the crabs, and then they take the crab home in their own homemade pen, and they detox the crab for a few days because they say, I'm buying the crab from off the street and carrying the crab straight home to pot. It's not safe. And they want to feed the crab their own bread, their own banana, their own water. They say they want to get whatever the crab came from Andrews eating out of the crab before they cook the crab. Does that make sense?
I guess so, yeah. You know, you want to give it. You want to let anything that's in the system pass through because you're eating. Some people eat the crab fat and all the stuff inside the crab. So you want to give it a chance to pass with anything foreign, anything because you know crabs are scavengers. They could have been eating anything. So you want to kind of give it a few days and say, okay, well now I know they just been eating this watermelon rind and bread that I've been feeding them inside my yard. So people feel more comfortable about that. I don't have any exact science on what you know what is the time it takes for all that to pass out, but I only know that that's something that I grew up knowing, and that I don't want to take away from like colloquial knowledge. That a lot of times we come in the modern era and say, okay, well, we don't have anything to support this. We don't know what they're doing. They're just doing things because people backwards. But people, I find that generations upon generations of people doing something, there's typically a reason. And
so how many passes do you think a crab should have before you eat it?
I don't know. What we'll do is we'll organize an experiment, and then I'll collect the data for you, and then put it on a spreadsheet.
This is what people want our local scientists to do. Yeah. Very, very important in our dispensation.
I'm going to leave the field of agriculture, and I'm going to get started on that project right away. But I forgot to mention, like back to the question you asked me before that about what you could put in your yard. Things like pumpkin and stuff like that would always in your yard, and peas. Peas, that was a big part of our diet for a long time. We kind of moved away from that. I grew up in a culture where you planted peas, and it was a delight to sit down on a Saturday evening and shell peas. And then some South American came up with this wonderful idea that they can put green peas into a can. And the minute green peas got into the can and they started appearing on the food store shelves in Nassau, we stopped growing pigeon peas. We don't grow lima beans, we don't grow pigeon peas, we don't grow black-eyed peas. I even don't see the red Haitian peas anymore because someone has put that into a can. The modernization of canning and this how agriculture turns on this business in canning and packaging. It slows markets in the Bahamas where agriculture is not on that front line and there's no abundance of anything. And then we're so caught up in this Americanization on our own substance that we're happy to go into the food store and buy the green pigeon peas already soaked in the coconut milk. Which is understandable. Because if you look at it, right, if originally we growing food out of necessity, as the need decreases, then the amount of food we need to grow decreases as well. But so we, it's only natural that we start to move away from those things. But now we're starting to realize that there's intrinsic benefit to these things, not just health-wise, but also, culturally. Also, like in terms of you going out there in your environment and then you're interacting with your children and you're teaching these principles. So it goes beyond just like going back to what Ms. Fraser said earlier about a holistic approach to health. It's not just saying, okay, we planting peas because we need to produce peas for the house, but it's good to have. And then you have food security dealing with food that's readily available. Now we have peas in our yard. So if we needed peas, that we, if push came to shove, hard times coming. Like hard things people used to say hard times coming, and I want you to sleep. Hard times are coming. Well, we can see how things go in the next couple of years around here, but. Peas is a good thing to have because you always could save the seed and then plant more peas trees.
My phone is just texting off, and people want you to give a general breakdown as to these medicinal plants you think should be grown in yards. What are the names? Is it Cerecy, Strongback, 5? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
other than Noonie.
I mean, a lot of
name.
I'm not the expert on I guess we native bush medicines and things like that. If something happened to me, sometimes I'll go next door to my neighbor. She's an old Bryland woman, and like, cause I work in outdoors, and sometimes I like get like a weird like, hey, what's this red rash on my arm? I say, what this is, and she said, go to the papaya leaf, put a papaya tree, and cut it and get the sap and rub it on, and all kind of random stuff. And I say, well, I do it, and I find that it works. So. There's a lot of other people, maybe these people Miss Miller and Miss Shavar just came in there would be better. I could better explain those things to them. But there are like I guess right now like there are trees like the neem tree. You know, it's good. You could feed it to your animals to help clean it out, and you could eat it yourself. It has deworming properties
and that's why I want to take you because we spend a lot of time on the herb side of what you do. We haven't gotten into the animal side. Is anybody in the Bahamas raising cows?
Yeah, we get a couple of farms with cows.
You said that. You said very casual, like there's 2 or 3 with 1 bull.
Yeah, I mean because you have to look at typical meat production and dealing with cows. They're large animals. Large animals tend to eat a lot, need a large tract of land to be moving around, like healthily. So like it's not really conducive for the small spaces, especially in New Providence and things like that. And then you have shipping issues and things like that. Then you also look at costs. If we could produce 100 cows in the space that we have, and there's places in the world that are producing 10,000 cows. So you're looking at it's just cheaper for us to import meat than to produce those. So that's why we'd recommend more things like. Are
you telling me that Nassau is not conducive to cow raising? All these bullshitters we got running around this town?
Not commercial meat production. I mean, you could do it. There's nothing wrong with it, but in terms of having a competitive price, because the reality, the money is the bottom line. So now, if the Bahamian people were more concerned about buying local beef than cheap beef, then fine. But globally, we see that the trends in consumerism is not that people want. There's always a niche of people who care about those kind of things. But majority of people want cheap and they want plentiful. So we're still gonna be stuck with basically. But there's certain things that you could do. But a lot of studies show that in small island nations, developing countries, they kind of lean more towards small ruminant production.
This is Plain Truth Speaking. You are the EarlThe Pearl Show on the round table with Tanya Brown, my co-host, Shlomikan Cargill, distinguished agriculturalist, Ashley Fraser from GMI Health and Wellness Center, and Freddie B. We're going to be back with you right after this break. Good morning, Bahamas.
Your morning with the EarlThe Pearl Show. Plain Truth Speaking, an opinionated look at national issues.
What we are attempting to do here is to build a case. The country expects a decorum, a modicum of decency when it relates to serious debate in the country on political and national affairs.
It's the EarlThe Pearl Show, another way of looking at the news and the people that make the news.
The FBI has been working with law enforcement in the Bahamas for the last 100 years. The FBI lab in terms of ammunition, gun, firearms has been used in court cases in the Bahamas for the last 100 years. This is nothing new, sir. Where have you been? What ostrich are you? If you're going to criticize something, criticize it from a position of information that is useful, not to talk nonsense.
Every weekday morning, 7 a.m. until 9, join the EarlThe Pearl Plain Truth Speaking Show.
And these are the stigmas and the disadvantages that attend to young people. I am an advocate of sorts on the position that we ought not teach young people to hide, to sneak, to have to pretend. We need a society where everything is in the open, it's transparent.
With Earlin Williams, Tanya Brown, and Freddie B. It's newsy. Following the trends and empowering young people is what you didn't expect in the morning and what you would enjoy. The EarlThe Pearl Show. Every weekday morning, 7 a.m. until 9 on 103.5 FM. Sports Radio 103
invites you to turn your radio up
every morning to the one fun place on the dial. 103.5 FM with the sports guy, Marcellus Hall, chatting it up with sports fans from all over the island.
I got a call coming in. Let's go right to the live line. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Marcellus. Hey, morning, Marcellus. Morning, Marcellus. Good morning to everybody this morning. Mr. Marcellus.
Good morning, Marcellus. Nice to good morning.
Give me a call. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Finally, Marcellus.
There's nothing like the armchair quarterback or the coach in the stands, measuring width with Marcellus Hall every morning.
What's wrong with these folks and fun? It's patriotic.
How can I wear this trick that I can't trick you?
For a real fun time in the morning without all the stress of life.
You heard that? That was a pin.
That was a pin drop. I can hear it.
Jerry Marcellus Hall, the sports guy.
This is when you'll know if you really got a team, because now you're facing adversity for the first time.
Sports talk.
What they want to. Garrett Hunt, 17 carries, 72 yards. Last night, 112 to 103.
Opinions and more. Marcellus Hall, the voice of sports in the Bahamas.
The best station right now in the Bahamas, the most famous station in the Bahamas, man.
Here on Sports Radio 103, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every weekday. CSR 103.5 FM.
A beautiful February 10th, a nice Wednesday, counting down to Valentine's Day. There's these two mug shots of my good friend Kenyatta Gibson and Michael Folks on the cover of the Now So Guardian. The pictures just jump out at you, you know what I mean? You go what's the headline? Gibson Folks to run on FNM ticket. It's what draws me to this is when you see political pictures marshaled out like this, two things jump up at you. Who's the winner, who's the loser, who's the loser, who's the winner, what's going on here? When you consider whether or not the FNM leader called any number of names last night as to who he said were potential candidates for him, then you have to ask yourself, why did the newspaper pick these two individuals out of this whole plethora of names that Dr. Minutes rolled out to use just a picture of Kenyatta Gibson and Michael Folks? We're going to discuss this in depth when we do more political association tomorrow. In the meantime, we are joined by the roundtable by Shavara Ineas. She's the CEO of Chickchani Farms in North Andros, and Whitland Miller, who is the CEO of Sunset Organic Farms on Carmichael Road. Already at the roundtable is Shomikan Caldwell, a distinguished young entrepreneur in the field of agricultural science, and the lovely Ashley Fraser, who represents GMI Health and Wellness Center. Tanya Brown, my co-host, is here. She's all covered in ashes. She went into, I think it was St. George's Church at 6 o'clock this morning, and at 6 a.m., an early riser, and she got the mark of the cross on her forehead. It means that anything you ask her for today, she cannot say no.
No, that's not true.
What are you giving up for Lent, Earl?
You given up for Lent?
Yeah, what are you giving up?
When we come back, we'll give that, because we are having a wonderful discussion on food, bodies, and it's...
You know what's so incredible? You like a lot of food and you have a lot of body. This is a perfect topic for you today, man, Earl. And
No. Your grammar is wrong. I have a lot of bodies.
Oh, jeez.
I have a lot. See, you must always get
This
it
is
right.
why you got so many Valentines to deal with on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Valentine's are on Sundays.
Yeah.
Sunday is a day of worship. Any holiday that falls on the day of worship is passed on to Monday.
So your Man Cave Monday is going to turn into Valentine's Day?
Well, since everybody has it mistaken for Sunday, I'll just write it off this year and wait till next week when it comes around on Tuesday. We're joined by the lovely Shavara Ineas, the CEO of Chickchani Farms. And Chickchani Farms is located in North Andros. Shavara, say good morning to our audience and tell us what you do on your farm.
Good morning, Bahamas. Thank you so much for inviting me on the show. Actually, Chickchani Farms, our base is in North Andros. Because I'm a third-generation farmer. I come from a family of farmers. So my grandfather has been in agriculture for 43 years, and as I mentioned, third generation. So our base is in North Andros, but we operate a small facility here in Nassau. And so our reach in Nassau is mobile. So the base of our business here in Nassau is we go to our clients. We find them, they find us, and we deliver their produce to them. Our focus is mainly on fresh produce, seasonal fruit, and like the things that you can find, like juju that Shomikan mentioned earlier, or mami, sapadilli. That is really our focus. So it's kind of it's like bringing back the things that we grew up on, the things that I grew up on, I took for granted on the island. I realized that a lot of persons, some persons don't even know what a sugar apple looks like, and so it's kind of like reintroducing the things that are natural and are native to the Bahamas back to Bahamians.
And Ms. Ineas, you're wearing a $200 scarf. in your hand you are playing with a $1,500 Apple phone. Your wrists are bedeviled with David Yurman jewelry and Tiffany. I had no idea agriculture was making this type of money. Can you do these things off juju?
You know, I really believe that there are.
It just tipped you off on the radio.
You know, don't believe anything he said, but you know, I believe that there are no restraints, and I do believe that the only restraints that we have is in our minds. I believe that, you know, with the right packaging and with the right marketing, you can basically sell any product. You know, and if it's juju, then yes, you can.
No, ladies. It's not that product she's talking about. She means definitively and exclusively agricultural products. Vitland, you are down there on, where you situated exactly on Carmichael Road? That's a very long road.
That's off Carmichael Road. It's off Carmichael, off Alpine Road.
And what do you do at Sunshine Organic Farms? Because we just had a wonderful discussion. Sean McCann was giving us a lecture on what's organic and what's not organic.
Well, basically, I started in my yard. After I finished college, while I was in college, I look and see what in the food store, what was short. Then I look at the pricing, and then I say, wait a minute, I need to go, because my degree is in horticulture landscaping. And I did a lot of elective courses in vegetable and fruit production and sustainable vegetable production.
Your degree is in?
Horticulture.
I have a BJC in horticulture. Carry on with
No, you have a PhD in that.
So I went to the food store. I looked after I saw it. I knew what I had to grow. I started growing my stuff. I went out to the markets because I had so much in the yard. Then from there, I would go like the health fair. So I used to concentrate on sprouts, lentil sprouts, azuca bean, mung beans, sunflower greens, microgreens. Then I do a lot of vegetables too, like kale, collard green, broccoli, and kohlrabi and daikon radish. Kohlrabi and daikon radish. So I try to do.
You just say someone crappy or
kohlrabi. She said kohlrabi. What's kohlrabi?
Kohlrabi is like a root crop that grows above ground.
So why it smell like radish?
What? Radish. Okay.
And the daikon radish and stuff. They take a little longer to grow, but So I use those for my microgreens and my sprouts. So when they reach a certain height, I may take some out and just put it in the ground and grow it every so often.
So I get the impression that these children who grow up on Wendy's number 4 and McDonald's number 6, when they see you ringing the doorbell and you're back into the yard with your kohlrabi and your radishes, they're not too happy to see you. What are you doing to encourage parents to put this into their children's diet? We had a wonderful discussion from Ms. Fraser earlier, who was talking about feeding our children a proper diet from the onset, so it maintains with them straight through their lives.
Well, I know that. When I finished Auburn University, I went to C.I. Gibson and I was doing landscaping. So with my program, what I did edible landscape designs. So the students were able to grow the stuff. I allowed them to take it home so the parents could. They didn't know what they were doing. Because my first thing was Asian vegetables. Children say, oh, no, Miss Miller, those things are not going to grow. One week they came to me, Miss Miller, the vegetables flying on the ground. They flying on the ground. I said, what you mean they flying? They were small like this, now they big like this. And those kids were so happy. They took them home. They didn't know what they were, but when they taste them, I remember the kids taking the collard green off the field. They take the mustard greens, the arugula, and the lettuce, and they wrap it together, and they ate it raw like that. I don't eat collard green raw. And they would say, oh, this tastes like plum with pepper on it. And they were so amazed. So they get used to new things. Now I'm at Program Shaw, and what we did, what we did last semester, as we grew the stuff with the kids, we went out there, we say, okay, the other teacher along with me, Mr. Butler, he's a chef. We say, okay, he made wraps for the kids. They go in the garden, they pick out what greens they wanted, they put it on their wraps.
Can the public engage in this while you're doing this, or this only for your students? Because this sounds like something to do on a Tuesday afternoon at 2.
And then we did green smoothie. So what I do, I introduce them to green smoothie. I say, we're going to go there. I need you to pick your bok choy. I need you to pick this. And we went back in the kitchen. We made the green smoothie. I'm not drinking no green smoothie. But when they tasted it, after they put the banana and the apple in it, they were like, oh, I didn't know this could taste so good. Then we did a big salad with them. Somebody said, those kids are not going to eat those things. They're not used to those type of things. When we put the platter with the salad out there for the kids, they were like, oh my goodness, we didn't know they sell these. I work in the food store. I see these in the food store, but I didn't know you could eat. I would eat them. And they ate those things, and they were like eating the mustard green raw. They were eating the arugula raw, and they really enjoy the stuff. So if we introduce our kids to these things, it'd be better.
Freddie wants to start a petition to ban rice from coming into the country for 2 days. Will that help?
The thing is with rice, like Sho said, all we need to do is find the rice. See, the white rice, they strip it of all the nutrients, the antioxidant, but it's good for you, and they take that to make pharmaceutical products or use it for hair and face and cosmetic and stuff, and then they enrich the white rice, okay? So if you get black rice, which is rice in its pure form, you get all your antioxidant. But if you want to substitute from the rice, all you need to do, like some other nations do, they use a lot of cassava, sweet potato, they use a lot of root crops. And if you use a lot of root crops, that's your substitute. It's not processed. You are on the go. And actually, sweet potato is good for you. So it's better for you to eat the local root crops than the rice. You could easily substitute it. So you don't even have to buy rice. You want starch? Love starch. You could actually take the sweet potato, you could fry it, make sweet potato chips instead of buying chips for your, put it in the oven instead of making chips from the food store. You could put it in the oven, you could make cassava chips, you could make Eddie chip, Dashian chip, all these things. I did it for my son and he ate it.
Ms. Ines, you start to tell us how you are a third-generation farmer. Tell us more about how your grandfather got started and how your family got attracted to the business. And who was your grandfather? Introduce him to us.
Thank you. My grandfather's name is Harold Butler. Our business first started, I think it was, like as I mentioned, 43 years ago. My grandfather was a recipient of the BARC project. I don't know if you're familiar with that project. It was a project launched here in the early 1970s. And so he was a recipient. They chose about 16 families at the time. The government, along with the U.S. government, came in and they did a project for farmers in the Bahamas, and my grandfather was one of the recipients. And so I remember from a young child, 6, 7 years old, having to get up every morning to go work on the farm. We got up, we had pancake and sour leaf tea, and then it was planting tomatoes or watermelons, and something that I did not like. But 30 years later, 20 years later, it's something that I can't part with. It just overtook me in the last 5 years. Agriculture has become very much a passion of mine, and my grandfather has passed on the knowledge. And of course, we rebranded the business in 2010, and so we branded as Chick Charney Farms, and our major reach is through social media. So social media is really where we find our clients, and really where our clients find us.
Sure, we can. This ambitious project, she talks about the BARC program, which was under the Lyndon Pinton government many years ago. 2016, this archipelago, these vast swaths of land, there seems to be this great interest to build tourist properties, resort properties. What is your recommendation to the powers that be as to what ought to happen, what can be done as incentives? Outside of, we understand what's going on at BAMSI, but now we're looking at local entrepreneurship, individual entrepreneurship, away from the state-owned leadership in agriculture. What is the way forward based on your recommendations?
As pertaining to tourism?
As pertaining to agriculture.
Agriculture in
In
general.
the family islands, people being able to have access to land, have access to funding, access to technical equipment, and technical expertise as to which you provide. Because you seem to have this concentration on what's going on in NASA. NASA is,
You basically summed it up. They need access to land, they need access to equipment and technical expertise. They need. That's why if they get those things, which many of the family islands are lacking, then they could move forward. Because even then, I took a trip with Minister Griffin a few months ago. I think that was down in Exuma, and we conducted a backyard gardening workshop, focusing on women. And a lot of the women there were very old, like very old, super old, and really I didn't even know people were this old, and they became backyard farmers because they traditionally grew up farming in Exuma, but they were too old to get to their farms. They couldn't walk that far, right? So, and so they kind of focus on farming in their yards, but their yard farming is still much greater than a lot of so-called farmers on New Providence. And talking with them, after the seminar, a lot of them don't have simple irrigation systems, so these old ladies are toting water, with their hand and watering plants individually, and that freaked me out, and it's like I couldn't even process that fully, that these ladies here right now, we're conducting this seminar, which we want to help them with doing these things, and they need simple irrigation systems.
And the water still come to them in the bucket.
Yeah, and they still toting water, and I'm looking at this. This could be my great Grammy. This could be my Grammy right here. This is my mommy. One day if I'm not around or something, and they're interested in the farm and they're producing their food. This is their way of life, and this is how they live. And these are the things that I feel as if we could be assisting them with, and I wish that these are projects that are worthwhile investing in, And like you said, moving away from the theme of government-funded things, because government funds are limited. I feel as if that certain things should be funded or should be priority, like going back to the whole idea of your house burning down, what you're worrying about the paint color. But I guess that we need to step up in the private sector. Private businesses and wealthy Bahamians need to start looking at our society and saying, okay, what's really going on? So hopefully with more people like me working in the private sector, we can start making those connections with the people who may have the money in order to get these projects that are worthwhile off the ground. So
actually, Shavara, Whitley, show you're very young people. And you just brought this wonderful contrast to the table as these very elderly ladies who are holding the fort in this agricultural dispensation. And the question that jumps out is, where have we lost it in the middle, where in these family islands where there are any number of young people, but everybody's trying to get on Bahamas there or Western there or to get, or the mail boat to get to Nassau, to get lost in a concrete jungle and tow a line for a job at Popeyes. When this land is available, the opportunities are available, why are we not given this? Why are young people in the family not incentivized, as Ms. Enius has been, to carry on the family business in agriculture? What has gone wrong? Where have we lost it in terms of the younger generation understanding the importance, what they can reap from the sea, what they can reap from the land?
I mean, I could speak to that because I experience in that currently. I think there's especially in the intellectual community of the Bahamas, there's this romantic idea of growing your own food and the idea of going into agriculture and things like that. The reality is, it is an extremely difficult industry to get into as a young person, and there's no mincing words with that. There's the idea of, okay, well, everyone you talk to, they're about food security, they're about growing your own food, and okay, well, how much food do you buy locally? Oh yeah, well, I support my local. I bought that one, last month. People got to eat. People have to live
Every day.
every single day. It's a continuous cycle. It's not just something that that stops because you picked up $2 worth of radish last week. That's the person living. They have the same bills that you have, that people have to continue. And as a young person, the reality is land is not free. And there's government granted land, and then, but then that comes with, there's a cost for surveying, there's a cost for land clearing, there's all these different things. And anytime you bring it up, people will tell you, okay, well, there's this incentive going on and that incentive going on and this lending agency and things like that. And you go inside the field and you talk to the people in the field and say, but you have any money? No. How things with you? Rough. Everybody crying the same thing because it is rough. So if that's the reality in the field, then there's the people who in the field will tell you things are hard. The only people who tell you the things are easy are the ones who are not directly involved in agriculture. And so it's like, honestly, it's easier because agriculture is a business. And anybody with sense could run a business. So it's easier for you to be a farm owner than to have a farm. So if I had $10 million with my mind now from being a cardiologist or something like that, I could easily buy land or lease land from the government through my connections and things like that, and then say, okay, well, what I'll do is I'll hire technical assistants. I can hire 10 MEs, 10 show me contractors to come through and be innovative with all and pay them salaries and sit back and make a multi-million-dollar farm and buy all the fancy equipment and things like that instead of waiting for or the government tractor down or this down. These are real issues. So it's like it's rough. And at the end of the day, I'm personally sitting there, and your parents looking at you saying, okay, well, this field don't make sense. This don't make sense. You're feeling the pressures, and everyone's saying, oh, Gil, keep going, patch on your back. But, but I offer services. Would you like to hire me? Oh, no, but keep on going. You're doing it good. And there ain't no one hiring you, but you're saying, all right, well, keep on. You're doing a good job. Or you buying native? No, well, I'm buying native, but somebody out there buying native. Keep it up. That ain't really encouraging.
Whitland, you would have had any number of students pass from under your wings. As you track them, what have you discovered in terms of their interest in wanting to go into this business? And have they been frightened away, or is this something kids just love to do while they're in school? And when the reality of the working world hits, they disappear?
Okay, you just said a touchy punch. The thing is, in education, what they tend to do or say is that the remedial kids or the slower kids, send them to practical subjects, send them to agriculture, send them to woodwork. That's a no-no, because agriculture is art and science. You need to be able to read. So if we're going to produce laborers, sure, we could send all the people to go and read. But if we want to produce trained scientists in agriculture and know how are you going to read the name of the chemical or the product or the name of the flower? So if we send more academic kids to this area instead of deterring them away, it's okay.
What do you mean read the name of the flower? It's just okay, flower.
No, not like that. The scientific names. So you want to know some of these scientific names. Even if some of the scientific names the kids don't know, if you want to go off to college, you have to know these names. So when you send me a pile of kids who are at a grade, let's say if I'm senior high school, and you send me these kids who's at a grade 2, 3 reading lately, these kids can't go to college. They even can't go to BAMZ. So we are defeating the purpose. We need to get more of our academic students into agriculture so we can produce more agronomists, entomologists, pathologists, plant pathologists. These are the things what we need. We need people to be able to go out there and say, listen here, yes, this is an insect here, you need this, you need that. You need to know these things. Oh, that's a plant disease there. This plant, you can't use this. You need to use this chemical. You need to use that chemical. You understand what I'm saying? So we need to get into the thing. The thing is, we're more into saying things on paper. We are more into saying things on paper and saying it's there on paper, but in reality, it's not there. But in the schools, I must admit, the schools are producing a lot. If you go to some of the school, it's unbelievable what's being produced in some of the school, even in Nassau right here. The expo is coming up, and you go to the school section, and you see what the schools are producing, it is off the chain. But our thing is, we need to get more, we could get more, agriculture could produce a lot of jobs directly and indirectly. Let's take, for instance, the horseflesh tree. Perfect hardwood. It grows fast. Why is it we are not investing? Say, listen, let's give somebody 100 acres here, 100 acres here. We're going to produce horseflesh. While we're waiting for that, you say, okay, do something on the side there, build some short-term crops so you could have value waiting on those horseflesh trees. They are perfect wood. The cascarilla bark. Why it's only on that island? Even if it's only on that island, let's give more people land to do that. There's certain things here we could do. Shepherd needle. Shepherd needle is a weed out here. And in Italy, they eat shepherd needle like it's nothing. Okay?
It's a wonderful tasting plant. I used to feed it to my horses, and then I figured if the horse could eat it, I could eat it, and I enjoy it.
And the monkey tamarind. If we look at the monkey tamarind, the monkey tamarind is an aphrodisiac. And not only that, they have done research saying it's good for Alzheimer's, and it's actually, the bean itself could be eaten in one country, I can't remember the name, where it's eating, they eat this as their main source of protein and fiber.
How do you get away from the
Most
itching?
likely you'll harvest the monkey tamarind while it's young. If you want it while it's young, so it's inside there. But despite that, it's still itch. You just wear gloves and writing them. But you want to harvest it before it dries. That's when it comes in.
Oh Lord.
Okay?
I regret to inform the Bahamas that monkey tamarind throughout the country is now going to be under siege. Every monkey tamarind in the country is going to be raped and raided. Shamikan, just before we take our next break, and the final question will go to Ashley. I have noticed of late, especially in Nassau, there appears to be this great tourist interest in the coconut. And in every little watering hole you pass, someone is selling coconuts. And I'm getting the impression that we are soon going to be coconutized out of the market. Because everybody is just grabbing green coconut, jelly coconut, dry coconut. What's happening with coconuts? Is this, and once again, we're doing it in the same 19th century way, where we're getting the whole coconut. After we take the flesh out, put straw on it, we destroy the shell. We're not doing anything with what can be done afterwards, and that concerns me. What are you people as agriculturists doing to get the people who need to know to get down on the ground now and to protect the coconut?
That's a whole market in itself.
Yeah.
The fresh coconut itself, you get the coconut water. You could get coconut milk. You could process coconut milk. You get the coconut oil. So let's say I want to employ or create jobs for 10%. Listen here, 1 cup fuel, you are going to collect the coconuts, go around, get all the dry coconut. The other side are going to come back and bag the coconut. We're going to press it to fresh coconut milk. People come to you, fresh coconut milk, no additives, no preservative. The price of that is going to be a little higher because it's more nutritious. You don't know that must be on the shelf for 100 years, and they're still good. So when you get that fresh coconut milk, you have to freeze that. You could get your coconut oil, you do your coconut husk, where you could recycle that to put in your garden.
Shamikan is going to tell us that is that we have the coconut, but we don't have the plant, we don't have the machinery. No one is invested in these things. There's nobody going to help you guys to get to the modern level to be WTO approved.
There's so much things you could do with coconut. Like Ms. Miller was saying, and coconut recent years it's really been booming in the last couple of years, and people realize it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Majority of the people who grow coconuts in the world only receive a very, very small percentage of the money, and the middlemen who buy in these places from Southeast Asia and stuff, they're making most of the money, and they're selling over on these Western markets and things like that. But the real issue, as you mentioned, is like with issues with industry in the Bahamas in general. And I find that in the private sector, because a lot of people say, well, the government ain't doing this, it's not really a government issue. It's the fact that the people in our private sector are not being adventurous in how they're looking out. Because as Ms. Ines was saying, it's an entrepreneurial thing. It's like there is industry in that. There's a lot of people who may have ability to access certain levels of funding to buy equipment and for processing and things. And as you mentioned, pressing coconuts, so it's not only necessarily someone with an agricultural degree who has to buy the equipment and realize that, coconut husks are being wasted. We could press that to make coconut coir, which is a growing medium used in hydroponics, or, as you could use it as a mulch or things like that. There's so many different products. Even like, let's say you mentioned the hairy mangoes, not the ones that on Dalswell Street, but the hairy mangoes.
I've seen Aki on Dalswell Street, but I've never seen. Well, she'll tell us later where to find that.
Yeah, Tanya knows about that. But in certain countries, like it doesn't take very much to do a little bit of research and look at the products that people are producing around the world and making nut butters and things like that. So you could literally make a nut butter from the seed of the mango. So you could, from start to finish, you could be doing. I did a course in China the other day, and they're focusing on like breaking down proteins, and because the industrial breakdown of proteins, there's a lot of money in that. So like things like fish heads and fish scales and fish guts and conch slop and things like that, they're industrialized processes that you can do in harvest with very, very, very important chemicals from these waste products. So in general, it's just something of industry.
Before I go to Ashley, I have to make this passing comment on coconut. Many, many, many years ago, I had to be a little boy. Sir Franklin Wilson had come home from qualifying himself as a chartered accountant. And I recall he made a speech somewhere where he encouraged the Bahamian people to get serious about the coconut. And he talked about what a wonderful industry coconut could be for Bahamian farmers, what potential coconut had for our market. And he was basically laughed out of home. And to come 40 plus years later and to hear Sean McCann and Whitland and Ms. Enos tell us the wonders and the great potential that exists in our market for coconut is to justify what Sir Franklin said 50 plus odd years ago.
The thing is with the increase in any industry, right? Technology tends to follow need. So now as people are seeing the value of coconuts, technology is following. So like one of the issues with coconut, it has a relatively short shelf life when harvest fresh. So people would pasteurize it, which would change the chemical composition of it, and it would change the flavor of it. But now, so they're improved harvesting techniques and cold storage techniques that allow you to increase the shelf life while delivering fresh coconut water. So there's a lot of things moving forward with that. And as you mentioned, having the trees itself, in the past we had some issues with lethal yellowing, which is a disease that affects coconut trees, which causes the trees to yellow and die. We had some issues with that. But then there are varieties now that are much more resistant to these viruses, as well as they're much shorter. So the issues of coconut trees growing, or they're dwarf trees that are producing much faster and that are producing extremely large quantities of coconuts. And a lot of issues we have, if you look towards the Caribbean, because our economy has been stronger than a lot of these countries, that we've kind of been a little lax. But these countries who are in a much more dire straits, they spend a lot of time developing these products. So example, like the Maypalm from Jamaica is you could get a liter of coconut water per nut from this tree, and this tree growing a few feet tall. You could stand and pick this tree. So it's extremely important to look at these things. But one of the major issues with the coconut water is unless you grow it in a particular way, it goes back to cheapness. You will not necessarily beat the Southeast Asian market in their terms of cost, but you could beat them in quality, or you could beat them in access to certain markets. And just as a nation in general, because coconut is such an important fruit, because there's a small island nation just off the coast of I think Papua New Guinea called Bougainville, and they had mines there, like they're strip mining and polluting the country. They were very big on, and they basically went to war with the land, the mainland. And they are now like barricaded, and they are totally self-sufficient as a nation using the coconuts. The coconut is their lifeblood. They're running their vehicles off coconut. They're making medicine of coconut. They're eating the coconut. Coconut is everything to them. And the fact that this is the fruit. This is the life fruit right here. Coconut in general. Because having a ready supply of coconut in your country, just as an emergency food supply, is something that is amazing.
We're joined now at the table by Mr. Elcott Colby. Good morning, Mr. Colby. How are you?
Good morning, Roundtable, and good morning, Bahamas. Mr. Cargill, and on the way in, I heard your commentary about the challenges of entering the agricultural industry, and what came to mind was the new developments in the cooperative movement, where the central bank has taken over the financial cooperatives. And so the movement has found itself back in developmental mode, where there is this focus on production and service cooperatives. Have you seriously considered joining a cooperative where your expertise can augment other members of the cooperatives that have access to capital, and the cooperative as an organization can access capital from the financial cooperatives to be able to finance small and medium-sized agricultural products, because the way to wealth creation, especially for young people and people who do not have huge financial and economic needs, is the instrument of cooperatives. Have you considered that?
Yeah, that is something that's always on the table. I'm a member of one or two cooperatives currently, and they're still, like you mentioned, they're in the very, very young phases of development.
Yes.
So that's because there's certain things that you have to do in order to be recognized by these international bodies in order to access some of this funding. So we're working on that, and then we're meeting certain challenges that you face in general, like so. But we're working through them. Ms. Eneas would be better to speak on those things because she's a part of a much older or well-formed associated. I think it's BANROP, is it?
Yes.
Ms. Miller, you a part of BANROP as well?
Yes.
Yeah, they're both a part of BANROP, and they can tell you more about that. And so I think they all are much more ahead of BAFI and other groups like that. So if y'all could speak on that.
Go ahead, Ms. Enes and Whitland. Tell us how the cooperative thing works and how you guys are planning on accessing capital and making your business more responsible for what you're trying to achieve.
Okay, well, as I was sitting here, I was thinking about what Shomikan had said earlier. I must draw your attention to the generational gap that we have in agriculture. Shomikan spoke about finding women that were old when he went to Exuma. Well, last year, October, our group, which is the Bahamas Network of Rural Women Producers, we went to Cat Island, and the ladies in Cat Island, their challenge was water supply as well. BANROP is an organization that is focused on women empowerment through agriculture, craft, and food processing, sewing, etc. BANROP has just recently formed its cooperative arm, really to empower women through cooperation. And we know that in a field as unique as agriculture, the only way that we can do it is really by working together. Even with Whitland is sitting here, and if there's a product that I need that Whitland has, I call Whitland, and vice versa. She calls me because there is a need on the market for local and agricultural product. It is a very unique and a niche market, and there's more Bahamians that are tapping into this market. Through cooperation, a lot can be done. And the women that I work with at BANROP, we have about maybe 30 to 40 women that are part of this organization that are focused on assisting each other to build this unique industry, which is agriculturally based. So when you talk about cooperatives, we are working through cooperatives. And as Shomikan mentioned, a lot of them are fairly new. They're like 1 or 2 years in. And so with more hands on deck and with more heads together, we can definitely get more done through cooperation in the Bahamas. We realized that it was a model that worked, in the 70s, and it's definitely a model that can work now in 2016.
Question for any of you, fine farmers and Mr. Agriculture himself. I have been venturing out into new fruits, and as of recent, I have fallen in love with rambutan.
You lost the old cherry?
Yeah, I lost
New
it
fruits,
a
go
very
ahead.
long time ago.
Oh, God.
So I've now ventured out into rambutan, and when I go to the food store, it's almost $10. Do you guys, any of you, know where I could get locally grown exotic fruits as such?
No, there's no. I don't know nobody grows that one, but I know you could get dragon fruit. You could get cactus apple, what people have in their yard, and don't even realize that you can eat it. Cactus pear, cactus apple is it. Then you have the dragon fruit. Then you have Cuban mommy.
Is dragon fruit what we call star apple?
No.
Okay.
That's carambola.
And
Okay.
there are a lot of fruits because what I do,
What's
I guess
Cuban apple?
Cuban
Mommy.
mommy. Cuban mommy is a type of mommy, but it's look like our mommy, but the shape different. And when it's ripe or mature, it's soft. I use it a lot, but if I have a lot, I buy from another person. She grows in a yard. I say, why you have all these things here? Oh, I don't know. I said, give me some of them. I'll take it to market and sell it. And I introduce it to the market to people who didn't know. And from that, I was able to process it, making yogurt. I made Cuban mommy smoothie. And there's a lot. When you go to I'm a part of the Horticulture Society, and there are a lot of people who have stuff in their yard, and you find out what they have, and I will go there and say, listen here, I need to get this, I need to get that, and I purchase local fruit.
So
some of these things I'm planning on, I have on my farm.
Can I come to your farm and buy some of these things?
I don't have them yet, they're not quite mature yet, but I plant some of those things, and I'm going to have those available.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead, Ms. Enes.
But I must say, because I'm an advocate for local fruit, I have an appreciation for you, being attracted to rambutan. But what about sugar apple and soursop
I
and
grew up with a
tamarind?
sugar apple tree in my yard. Dilly sugar apple. I'm
Yes,
Very spoiled. Guava.
Yes.
I know about backyard farming.
Well, if you're looking for that.
Cabbage and all that stuff, cherries. We even had thyme and mint leaf. I know about these things. So when you tell me things like that, I'm like, I'm at this point
something exotic.
disgusted by it because I've eaten too much of
Oh my goodness. Well, I must tell you, the market that I'm in, as I mentioned earlier on the show, there are persons that do not even know, what a sugar apple is. Though you said you're disgusted by it, but there's people who like not my children.
This is what a strong word.
Sugar apple tastes too good to ever be
Listen, I have taken deliveries to homes, and children are asking me, what is this? And their grandparents are telling them, look, we grew up on this, but the children don't know because, we've just become so, quote unquote, modernized, this new,
You bring up a good point with that, because if you really look around, right, and look at the composition of the average Bahamian yard now, you see the disappearance of these trees.
Yeah.
Because now what once would have been so common, you probably couldn't give those fruits away. Now it's a resurgence in the market for that.
Yes,
people are asking.
There's a demand, very high demand.
Soursop, boy, you can't soursop. You don't have enough soursop when soursop season coming.
Yeah.
So these things. So there's a lot of what's the word? There's a lot of opportunities in selling these fruits, and there's also a lot of opportunities in the rearing these trees and then selling these things. And I think there should be a campaign to try and re-nativize, if that's a word.
Good morning, Bahamas. We are coming to the end of our show. It's been a wonderful morning. We've had Ms. Aeneas Midland from Sunset Farm, Sean McCann Cargill, Ms. Fraser's left us, Mr. Colby's in house, Tanya Brown with a cross on her forehead, Freddie B. And we are all going to make a mad dash for the nearest monkey tambourine tree in the vicinity of the station. See you tomorrow, Bahamas. Good morning.
No, can hurt you. No, 'cause I